Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. No face part of today's video, mainly because this arrived after I'd recorded the face parts for this week's recording sessions and I didn't want to wait another week to open this one. So we've got here a first impressions with this black box and the word Lamy on the front. Coming to the side, we've got C, is that Jersel, Lamy, GmbH, 6911, Heidelberg, nothing on the bottom. Then on the back, Lamy.com, made in Germany. The side, we've got something sticking out. The other side, just plain. So let's slide the inner box out of this sleeve. In the centre now, we've got the word Lamy. And then just spinning it around, nothing else on the box. Let's open the box and see what's inside. Obviously you'd have known if you'd have seen the title of the video though. So let's open this up. That reveals a pen that snaps down. That reveals this gorgeous black there Lamy 2000. There's a piece of sponge which was helping keep it in place. And we've got some silica gel. Let me just ease this out. Underneath the pen bed, there's nothing. In the envelope it came with, there was this leaflet here. Just move the box to one side. Lamy design made in Germany. We've got pictures of the various models. Then on the back, it's showing how to fill them. So I'll pop that to one side for study at a later period. Let's fetch in my pen rest. So in the plastic sleeve, we've got the pen. Let's ease this out of the sleeve. And we've got here the Lamy 2000 in that black macrolon finish. Just look at this, just turning it around. There's underneath the clip, we've got this little label. Let's just take that off. What have we got on here? We've got, looks like some numbers, pricing, and then on the back, we've got a barcode. Again, I'll pop that into the box. And let's take a look at this pen. I'm going to start at the top. So the top, it's actually quite reflective, quite shiny, feels shiny. We come down and we've got a ring there. So looks like that top is slightly separated from the rest of the cap. We've then got the clip. The clip, we've got a little bit of a spring loading. So I'm pressing my finger here at the top and that's moving the clip. You can move the clip from down the bottom. It feels quite springy and quite easy to move. The cap, we're tapering out till we get, I would say, about 2/3 of the way down the clip. Then to my eye, it then evens out, maybe even slightly tapering downwards. At the bottom, there's no writing, so we're going straight down then with a noticeable drop off into the body. The body seems slightly bulbous, so it actually seems to come out slightly. So we're tapering out to about here. Then we start to taper in. Then we get a slightly wide taper once we hit the piston filling mechanism down the bottom. This is a piston filling pen. Again, let's just turn this around for you just so you can see it. So this is black macrolon, which I believe is a fiberglass style material. Then these trimmings are stainless steel. The cap pulls off. That's something I've got to remember. It's a pull off, not a twist off. We can see a little ink window. At the moment, that's fairly easy to see through. It'd be interesting once I've got ink in there, how easy it is for me to see the ink level. We start to taper down. We've got these two little, I'm going to call them nubs. That's actually a ring, and this is what the cap fixes onto. And this is actually separated, so you can unscrew this section part from the body. And then there's a little clutch ring. If you do that, do not lose this clutch ring. You'll render your pen very hard to use because there is that gap. We come down, then we've got the steel section, again tapering down, and then we've got there the Lamy nib. Now this is a broad nib, and when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, do you know, that looks like a stub nib, doesn't it? I've already had the pen out because I've cleaned it through. So what I did is I actually went and had a look because I thought to myself, this does not look right. Have they sent me a stub instead of a broad? So I pulled the nib out, That's why I was saying about unscrewing the section and you just slide the nib out. Here's a photo of that. So you can see there, this is a broad. It's 585, so it's 14 karat gold. And then we've got the name Lamy there. You don't see most of that though because it's hidden. It's a hooded nib. You just see the end working part. So although it looks like a stub, it is a broad. It'll be interesting to see what it's like though when I write with it. Let's swap on over and do some size comparisons. My standard size comparisons, Pilot Metropolitan and Lamy Safari. All three pens in terms of length with a cap on look very similar, don't they? The Metropolitan and the 2000, the end parts are tapering in, whereas the Safari just stays the same width all the way down. Let's pop the caps off. Unposted, the Metropolitan looks ever so slightly longer than we're seeing here with the 2000. I think it's to do with the bulbous nature of the end, whereas the 2000 is flat. And the Safari definitely by far longer. In the hand, yeah, that feels alright. That feels fairly light. Feels nice lengthwise. My fingers rest quite nicely there. It will post. Not sure. I'll have to see how it goes a bit longer term. It does feel like it's slightly bat weighted when I've posted it. But I do like the length. The length isn't too much. But I think initially I'm going to be trying this unposted. Let's get this out of the way and we'll fill the pen with ink. Here's my trusty ink holder so the ink doesn't end up going all over the spot. In the videos I've seen about this pen, a lot of people were saying about how it's a fairly wet writer. So I thought I'm going to really push this. I'm going to put a fairly wet ink into it. And I thought I'm going to go with Diamine Writers Blood. I haven't used this for a while. I thought so it's a good time to get this out and have a go with it. So let's take the cap off. Right, the pen. Just going to move this up slightly whilst we do this a little bit. The pen. This is a piston filling pen. You can hardly see the join, but there is a join just about here. You've got to really help that. There we go. I'll put it in the camera this time. There is a join, he says, just about here. You can hardly see it. I'm really looking for it. But if I twist this mechanism, you can start seeing there now. That's coming open. And it's pushing the plunger inside, down. So that's down as far as it will go. Let's get the ink. In goes the pen. Hopefully that goes far enough in to actually capture some ink. Let's do it a couple of times. We'll see in a second when we look at the ink window. Yeah, that went down fairly deep there, so deep enough that it's captured some ink in here. Let me just clean this off. So I've cleaned the bottom of that section. Let's pop the cap on and get this ink out of the way before Gary, being Gary, knocks it everywhere. And let's swap on over and fetch in the notepad of testing. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. Here we've got the notepad of testing. As I start writing, it will come more into focus. Here we've got the Lamy 2000, my very first time writing with a Lamy 2000. So we've got a Lamy 2000, very, very smooth. Broad, 14 karat, gold nib. The price for this, I thought was a very good price, $316. Not a cheap pen, but as I say, I do think this was a really good price. The ink, Diamine Writers Blood. I do think this was a good choice. I'm loving the way this looks. Drying times, there's immediate. Not as wet as I was expecting. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Almost dry. I'll do a 1 minute test. Yeah, more or less dry there. For a full picture, it's currently 27 Celsius and 50% humidity. I'm letting you know because that can affect the drying times. Line variation. So here's with no pressure. Here's with a little bit of pressure. Not seeing much of a difference. There's going across and across with a bit of pressure. I would say this is a very stubby nib. Definitely I'm seeing the line going down wider than the line going across. I actually don't mind that because I like nibs with character, and I think stub nibs do add that little bit of character. So no pressure with, none with, none and with. Going to move the mic down to the page so you can hear the pen writing. You may have heard some fan noise. I've got the fan on because it's so warm, so I need to try and keep myself a little bit cool. There is no feedback at all with this pen. It is so smooth. It's not glassy. I'm not saying it's like writing on ice, which I get with some pens. It's just as if, well, it's the nearest I've felt to writing with a ballpoint for a long time. It's just like gliding over the paper. There's no sound coming off it. There's no feedback coming through it. So, yeah, in that way, slightly for me, I prefer a little bit of feedback, but that's a very personal choice. Flow test. And then going the other direction. Yeah, very nice. I do think there's a little bit of a sweet spot with this pen, and it's going to take me a while to get there, but quite enjoyable. I do like this ink. I think I made the right choice with the ink. So what are my thoughts on this pen? I've been eyeing the Lamy 2000 for a long time. I kept putting it in my basket and thinking, nah. The looks of it don't jump out at me and say, I'm a gorgeous pen. They just say, I'm a well-designed, boring pen. I mean, it's been in production since 1966. It's not visually the most interesting pen. Still alright though, it's still nice to look at. I do sort of like this hooded nib. I believe the nib is platinum plated, so you get that little bit of a finish on there. Personally, I like to see the gold of a nib, but given this black and then the steel colours, I can see why it's done that way. The nib has got no feedback. I say I like feedback. That's just a very personal thing. It's very, very smooth. It's not unpleasant. I'm quite happy to write with it. With this ink, I'm just going to hold it up. Don't expect any sheen. There is no sheen or anything like that. But I'm seeing loads of shading coming through. You know, there on the G on Grumpy, the Z, most of Make, A, the C, most of this bottom line. So there's really nice colour variation, really nice character. We're getting this natural line variation from the nib. As I say, the nib to me, although it's matte, has been a broad, it's more of a stubby type nib. I'm actually quite pleased about that because, again, I think it gives character to my writing. I know we've only done a little bit of writing here. I need to use this more heavily. But so far, I'm actually quite pleased with this. I wish now, you know, a couple of years ago, I got one. You know, as I say, it's been in and out of my shopping carts, and I keep thinking to myself, it doesn't look attractive, but now I've got it, I can start to see where people are coming from with it. I just need to use it a bit more to get a better feel for it. So these are my first impressions of the Lamy 2000 with Diamine Writers Blood.